Okay, moving on to the second item of business. Um, we have the second one being return of Jose, I believe. Let me see.
No, Latona, it's a
Oh, I'm
lot
sorry. No, no, no.
development, 30
I
some
keep
homes.
forgetting. Latona. Yeah, yes. I'm sorry. 1236, 1248 Latona Road. 33 new units with private road on 12 lots. Um, and we have the applicant is Sam Newsham. Um, Sam, are you still with us?
He is.
I
His
am,
list.
Okay.
I am. I was just unmuting, and if you can enable my camera, that'd be good.
Um, yes, Linda, are you able to
Sam, if you scroll down to the bottom of the screen, you should be able to turn your camera on.
So the camera icon is not on my, I don't think I was able to become a
um,
presenter join. Okay, I got it.
yeah, Linda had to make you a panelist in order for you to have that option, I think.
I made you a panelist, so you're good.
All right, I think this works, right?
Yes.
Excellent.
We see you.
Hey, good evening.
Good
Yeah,
evening.
good evening.
No.
So, I'm gonna get started real quick in the interest of time because what I want to do is I want to first of all set the stage for what we are doing. We're building 11 new dwellings. They'll have ADUs and junior ADUs. I think they were counted as separate dwellings. They're not. Um, I am Sam Nushin. I'm the engineering consultant for the project. For the past 35 years, I've been an engineering consultant. My connection to this community, Arroyo Seco, Washington, goes back to 20 years, since 2004. So I've done projects, I've seen projects and what the community's headed. And when I was asked to join this project to help in development of the project, we chose a certain uh, manner in which to do the development. The architect, Robert Thibodeau and Bailey Keys, are with us. They will explain the project itself. I want to just, Bailey, if you don't mind sharing your screen, if you are able to share your screen, thank you. So if you could go to the area, yeah, that one, thank you. The second one. The project is located on Latona Road. This is a private street off of Latona Avenue. You see the 11 lots, and 2 of them are not part of our project. We have to develop a private road street, and to develop a private street, there's a lot of work that's involved. And the 2 lots that are not part of our project, we're willing to grant them access through our project, so they're able to develop their projects, their homes as well. The vicinity, I hope everybody's familiar with, is off of 43rd Street, south of Griffin. And on the project itself, we have the slides, we have the location, and I have Robert and Bailey to present. I'm trying to do this in a very timed manner so that we can get to the question and answers. And there's no permits, there's no application, there's nothing. We want to bring this to the community as quickly as we can and start the dialogue with the neighbors to make sure that we have the feedback. And again, this is based on my 20 years of observation of the area, that our vision for this project was put together. But still, things are changing. So I want to make sure that we bring it to the community and we present it, and we get the Q&A started, we get the dialogue started. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to uh, the architects team. I'll take it back again, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. Robert, Bailey, could you please go ahead and present the project?
Yeah. Hi. Hi, everybody. My name is Robert Thibodeau. I've been an architect in Los Angeles since 1995, and my firm's been hired to design this project on Latona Road. It's the 11 lots that are highlighted there off of Latona Ave. First of all, proposed, the buildings that we're designing are being designed to meet the code requirements, so we're not asking for exceptions. We're providing the required, this is R1, we're providing the required setbacks and height, under the height limit, and parking. And so we'll meet all those requirements and not ask for any variances or exceptions. The site is an undeveloped piece of land between Latona Ave and Montecito Drive, and the land was subdivided into parcels a little over 100 years ago. We have 11 of those parcels. The property does have a fairly modest slope, modest to medium slope from Latona Road up to Montecito. So if we access by Latona Road, those are upslope lots. And I think I just said this is these are all zoned R1. The lots vary in size, so according to our slope band, which was done to the Northeast LA Q condition standards, we have varying allowable square footages. That said, we're not looking to build the biggest houses on the block, and we're not looking to build mansions. It's not the game plan here. So we're planning to build homes that range from 1,660 square feet to 2,360 square feet, and of that square footage, it depends on which lot you're talking about, but approximately 300 square feet of that is being carved out for a JDU that would be at the parking level, right? Parking's at the lowest level because they're uphill lots. And so really you're talking about living space between about mid 1,300 square feet, about 1,360 to about 2,060 for the larger lot, two lots that you see there. So again, it may be slightly larger than the oldest housing stock you have there. I know there's some smaller places, but if you look at the aerials here, these aren't tiny places that people have. And as far as sort of community character, we feel that we may be slightly over some sort of median that someone puts together, but not really by a whole lot. We feel that we're kind of coming in about where we need to. And we are planning on you want to flip over to the other? Yeah, we are planning on an ADU at the rear of the yard. And that by state standards has to be under the 800 square feet. We're actually having trouble. I mean, not trouble, but we're keeping them largely in sort of more about the 600 square foot range. But again, they bounce around depending on the access to the lot, the slope, and the lot dimensions. Go ahead and you can flip it back to one of the other ones. Thanks. So that's where the 33 units came from. It's really two structures. It's a detached ADU, and it's a single family dwelling with an attached garage and a JDU as part of sort of the garage level construction. And why did we do this? Oh, I guess you're going to get into that, right? So I'll leave that. Otherwise, I'll step on your speech. So in general, our layout is for the JDU to be located adjacent to the garage and semi-subterranean. By burying it into the hillside, we can lessen the impact of the massing on the site. A set of stairs will take you from the garage JDU level to the main level, which will consist of a great room. That's a kitchen, dining room, living room, and a half bath. And then there's going to be a guest bathroom at that main, guest bedroom and bathroom at that main level as well. That could double, probably could double as a home office. And from there, the top level would just step back. We've got a master and then a kid's bedroom and bath. So again, not huge places. And we're trying to follow the hillside on the way up. And we took advantage of the grade change so that the upper level can have access to the backyard and the ADU. We've tried to organize the yard so that both the house and the ADU will have private yard space We like our outdoor space. The structures are sited to step up the hillside and will be designed in the California contemporary style with step backs and balconies. There are good views from the upper levels. And I'm gonna hand it over. I'll be here to answer questions. We have some images. But I'm gonna hand it over to Bailey, who wants to talk to you for a second. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bailey. I work on the architectural side with Robert. And I just want to take a moment to kind of talk about the overall target for this project. This project is designed with the missing middle in mind. The missing middle can be a variety of different circumstances. It can be families living in a median income, multi-generational families under the same roof, people taking care of independent loved ones that need some level of care, or young professional couples. People like myself fall into the latter category, who have a decent paying job, we work hard, but overall we wouldn't be able to manage a mortgage without some sort of secondary income. To put this in a little bit more of perspective, in 1984, the median family income was $25,000. Now today it's about 84. The median home price in 1984 was $85,000, and now it's roughly over 980. So this would mean that it's like 11 and a half times more than what it was in 1984. And to keep that on an equal basis, median income should have been about $288,000. This makes it unrealistic for a majority of people to be able to purchase a home for their own. And this is ultimately what we're trying to back. This is kind of where we believe we can help, is that every person does deserve a home. The goal of this development is to provide an opportunity to a forgotten demographic and enhance the life for those same people. Furthermore, by creating the multi-unit designs, we are able to provide flexibility to different types of circumstances for different types of families. In addition, we are very excited about this project from an architectural standpoint and the design that it ensues. And I'm going to hand it back over to Sam, who I think has a little bit more to touch on this point before we wrap up the presentation.
Thank you. Thank you for that explanation, Bart and Bailey both. Yeah, just to round that off and finish our presentation. California has this problem. When I was asked, we considered all of these issues that we touched upon before we get into the design and get into the elements that would make this palatable for the community, and also bring what I've seen in the community is there's development, there's a type of development, California Contemporary is in line, and there's that the majority of people who live in that neighborhood, in the neighborhood, fall under the same category that was described. So it's very much in line with the community, when the community is where it's headed in terms of growth, and growth with people you like to live with, your family members, if you're a couple, and makes it accessible, makes it affordable and safe. So that living with people you love has a safety that's inherited, that's built into it. And when communities have safety, people flock to it. When there's no safety, people flee from it. These, along with the very restricted code, with the city, were all taken into consideration. I'm bringing this project to you because I want to start the dialogue. That's my ask. I want to start the dialogue. I want to hear what the community has to say about it, what they think of it. And also, I want to bring it early, let you know that we have an open door. We want to hear. We want to take your good comments and the bad, all of them. I'm not going to have the answer to everything that you ask, most likely, but I can table them. We could try to answer as many questions as possible. But if I can't, I can park them in a parking lot bucket and get back to you on those. That's basically the main points that I wanted to convey with the neighbors before we really get into it. So with that, I'm going to open the floor for Q&A. Of course, I'm not stepping on the chairman's and chairwoman
Yes, thank you, Sam. Can I begin by asking, do you expect there to be entitlements? And do you know that what those entitlements would be in particular, or is that still to be determined?
I think, Robert, maybe you can take a crack at that one, and if you can't, we can table it.
I can take a crack at it. Right now, we're looking at the lower 4 lots not needing entitlements. But again, I think per what Sam's saying, we wanted the dialogue going kind of on the early side. The ones that go up the hill, there could be entitlements regarding the slope of the road and some of the access. But that the civil engineers are working on that right now. And really you're talking about the access issues. But at the moment, no, this is more of at least for the lower portion of the slope there, we're looking at sort of more by right type stuff.
And the parameters that you're designing to, they're all compliant. You said like the lot size. I couldn't read the numbers because they were too small, but it looked like they were less than 5,000 square foot lots.
Pull that up. Do you have the?
No, we
Yes.
have that slide with all the numbers, so we can answer your question very
Okay, go ahead.
precisely. Yeah, if you can present it.
That's zoomed in for you.
Um,
Happy to zoom in more.
yeah, there you go.
Let's see, yeah. Lot 1238 is 4713.
But we're not, this isn't, please understand, these lots are already subdivided. We're not planning on subdividing this.
Oh, okay, thank you. That helps to
So
understand.
these are existing, and I was gonna say that in my thing. These lots were created in a subdivision, I think 110 years ago. Sam would know the exact, but I think they were created 110 years ago, and we're not planning on moving lot lines.
And your vehicular access would be all through Latona, the new private Latona Road, or is there another kind of alley called Lot G there?
Lot G is actually city owned, and that would be still remain city owned, and would likely we'd pursue an easement with the city to traverse Lot G, but we'd build, and ideally we'd build part of the road on Lot G.
Yeah, so to answer that more fully, what we've done is access through Lot R is going to be perfectly within code limits. Lot G's got some slope and width items that we are working on with the city council, as well as we have a planning expert on board, Greg Shoup. I didn't ask him to be here tonight. Again, it was just the beginning, but if you need him to answer your questions as to where we are with that, we're going to widen it. We're going to widen Lot G. That's 10 feet. We're going to use that as an easement and then widen it to 20 feet. I think that's the minimum, maybe 25 feet to access the upper lots. And for the moment, that's my best answer. Again, we can come back with Greg if you have in-depth questions as we progress and have that dialogue.
So just so I understand, then Lot G is not currently slated to be a street, but you would propose it to be, and you would propose to widen it?
Yes.
And
Yes,
would that be the frontage for the lots on the south side?
On the upper side, yeah. Montecito Drive is on the high side. Latona Road, Lot R, is on the lower side. So there's an elevation difference. So if you draw a line from Montecito Drive, you're going to go downhill to Lot R. Now, I called 1236 through 1238 and 1248, 47, 46, 45, the upper lots. Access for those lots is going to have to be through that Lot G.
I see. Okay. So that's its frontage, basically.
Right.
Okay. I see. And in terms of entitlements, are there environmental clearances? Are you going to be able to qualify for a CEQA clearance? Or
But we're
would
gonna
you
have to
go
take it,
through full
we're gonna have to
EIR?
present it, I think it was, I don't think we're gonna, I think we're gonna have to address all of those.
Okay.
Yeah,
And,
Robert Bailey, you guys, have anything to add to that? I think the CEQA is what we discussed.
Yeah, if there's no planning case, I'm not sure that there's a CEQA issue.
well, it's a greenfield, right? Wouldn't that be potentially a full CEQA analysis in that case?
For single-family homes, I don't think reaches the bar, does it?
Well, yeah, it depends on the number of lots being developed, and I think maybe members of the public might have comment on that. But I don't know CEQA law enough to know, but just as a greenfield site, it strikes me that way. But if you don't know what your CEQA requirements are at this time, then we'll leave that for further discussion.
Yeah, that would probably be best because I don't want to misspeak either, you know.
Right, right. No, CEQA is involved. Okay. Other committee members, do you have questions so we can narrow the the description of the presentation, then we'll open up to public? Casey?
Yeah, I was just curious about, do you mind to keep the site plan up while we talk, because it's easier to be able to reference? I was curious about if you guys knew what the purpose of Lot G is, because it sounds like you're saying that that's not a paper street.
Yeah, it's an easement. I think it was a sewer easement, if I'm not mistaken. Again, we're working on that to figure out what really Lot G does. There's a sewer that's planned on Navigate LA, but it belongs to the city. So, it's just doing nothing. It just collects and weed, and every year we clean it for the city. But it's just sitting there. So at the moment, I don't know the exact purpose of it, but I think sewer easement is my best answer at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, am I muted?
I don't think so.
No, you're audible.
Thanks. I mean, it seems like even though the lot access rules would have been different 110 years ago, where the 20-foot frontage may not have been the same as it is today. And I know in some hillside areas, you see lots that wouldn't be allowed today in terms of access rules. There might have been a different concept of I mean, they clearly allowed the subdivision of these lots with the frontage on G way back when in somebody's wisdom. So did that mean someone was planning a path and a stairway down, as we see in some areas? Who knows? I think it's hard to guess what was in their minds back at the time, but they did create these lots. And anyways, that was my addition to that.
I just want to say that I thank you for this presentation, for coming to us this early in the process. We appreciate that. It's important and it's a good idea. I also appreciate that you are looking out for the community and to be consistent with the size of lots and the sizes of houses available to the community. So I'm looking forward to hear more about this project.
Thank you, Billa. I hope I'm not muted. Yep. So I also see comments, Garrett thank you for those comments. They really help. So they are our concern also. This is a very large issue, is the access. Yes, for both of us. The current dirt road is not very wide. The dirt road is actually pretty wide, and we're going to make it wider. Utilities, especially drainage. Yeah. Well, drainage is not going to change. The same amount of water comes down as it does now, but we will be able to control it much better. maybe pushed over further as the drainage comes down? What are the civil proposals for dealing with on-site water? Well, we have to address all of that. This is part of the planning and plan development is going to be addressing all of those, and they're pretty restricted on the rules right now. Are there currently any conversation with BO? No, you guys are the first. BEO, Planning Division, everyone is secondary because we want to make sure that what we present is somewhat in line with what what I've been thinking, what Robert and Bailey have put together. So you guys are the first, and then we'll have to go through all of those other phases. I hope that answers some of your questions, Garrett.
There's already hands up. Roy is
Yes.
first, Lynette is second.
Okay, thanks. Sorry for stepping away there. I had a technical glitch.
Derek, before you start, let me ask, is this a recorded session?
It is not being recorded. You would have got the notification if it was.
Oh, okay, so I'm gonna take better notes then, okay?
Okay, well, we do take minutes, but we won't have everything, but yes, go ahead.
All right, go ahead, please.
Okay, yes, Roy, go ahead.
Robert and Bailey and Sam, thank you for presenting. I do have a couple of questions and very important questions. I didn't hear anything about the amount of grading you're gonna do, and that's a concern to me because in the past, when there was some development considerations here, I remember a soils test revealing that there was a high level of arsenic in that soil there. The fact that there's an elementary school right directly across the street from me is a concern to us in the community because, again, dust particulates going up in the air while they're playing becomes a big health hazard to us. So how do you plan to mitigate that, number one? And have you done your soil samples yet? Second of all, I didn't hear anything about the amount of grading you're going to do because, in addition to that, I need to know what's your haul route out of the area because you can't get on the 110 freeway. So where do you plan to go? Number three, staging. Where are you going to stage anything? Because we just had all our roads repaved within the last 5 years. If you damage enough of the roads, we will hold you responsible for them. So how do you plan to mitigate that? And third of all, the approach to your property on Latona, that's a substandard street, it's barely wide enough to fit a car going in a single direction at this point because there's vehicles parked on both sides. Your trucks are not going to make it through there. How do you plan to mitigate that? Because that means you'd have to buy the frontage from everybody else to widen that road to be able to even get trucks through there. And then the other part I wanted to say is that in the past, when we dealt with developments like this, we required them that as they built their private road, first of all, that met road standards, but also that you have to have you're going to be required to do a fire truck turnaround and place the fire hydrant back there. Have you considered those things?
Okay, I have 5 questions. Is that it, or do you?
Yeah.
No, I've got another question, but I'll hold those off for another time.
Okay, good. Well, first of all, we just brought this to you. You built the whole thing. Thank you. But let's go one at a time. Let me just answer geologists. Yeah, there's a geology report from 2004, but we're going to do a new one. So we want to make sure that we get one that's current and also addresses all of the issues that are relevant to the city and to the community. If there's arsenic or anything like that, the laboratory result will show. But I made a note of it, and I will make sure that is part of what we ask. Second thing you asked was amount of grading. Yeah, there's very restricted amount of grading because of the Q condition in the Northeast Hillside. So the amount of hauling is not going to be all that much. And we're not asking for variances to increase that amount. These are hillsides, so we're going to have to build some of the roads up, and for that we're going to need dirt. So the amount of hauling is being worked on by civil engineer Harvey Goodman, and it's a huge concern, of course, for both compliance and also hauling. Strategy, staging, that's what you asked. staging it, because staging will be part of your next question, which is the approach to substandard street. Yeah, I built on hillsides also almost exclusively, Hollywood Hills, all of the small, narrow streets in LA. That's where my expertise and my experience has been mostly. So to answer your question very simply, we use smaller equipment. We use specialized equipment. One side of Latona Avenue, sometimes we'll ask for no parking. This is very common practice. So we can put the equipment in. Once the equipment goes in, it really doesn't need to come out until we're done. And then you talk about hauling. This is part of the same thing. The bigger thing will be, of course, making sure that the runoffs are all secure and doesn't. So that stuff are going to be addressed. Once we have the dirt, if there's any hauling to be done, what we can do is we could do that in one day as well. The fire, yes, we have a retired fire captain as part of our team of consultant. We already working on turnaround. Fortunately, let me put this, I'm looking at the other questions. Let me put that down. You see the turnaround at the end of that lot R, that's being widened to accommodate Fire Road. A new hydrant, Roy, is as part of the fire protection is being developed. And I think every 300 feet, something like that. When I talked to the fire captain, I think there was 300 feet from the truck. But whatever that number is, that's how many hydrants are going in there to make sure that fire trucks have access, have ease of access, and also, but to bring some other stuff that might be of concern to you is right now when they park on both sides, and I don't think they even are allowed to park on both sides. Fire truck can't get through. It's a problem. So I'm hoping that again, as a vision that comes to fruition, this will make the community better in every way. And that one of the ways is that, we have to have access, safety, and that will be built into this project as not only part of the community concern and also part of the approval process. Those are the best answers I could give you for now. So I hope I've answered some of your questions, Roy.
There was, I think Ben Gordon had his hand up.
Yeah, I'm reading the question.
Okay.
Sorry, Linda. Ben Gordon wrote a question, or he's going to speak?
Apparently it's up in Q&A at the top.
Oh, Q&A. I'm sorry, I don't have that open.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I thought he's talking about trees.
Ben, that's a zoning change. We also looked into that. Density is somewhat part of the future, whether we like it or not, because of housing trend. It's happening right now. If you look at north of the USC, mixed use units are going up quite aggressively because of the zoning change allowances. And but if that's a legislation, that's something that needs to develop and work its way through. We'd love to do that. And it's going to be a lot easier to develop that. But I don't think we're there yet. And I don't think we'll be there for years to come. So that's what I can tell you. I mean, I agree with you, but unfortunately, they don't listen to me in Sacramento that much. It's again, if you have any connections or if you know of a way of doing it, I'd love to hear more about it. Then
I'm sorry, but if we probably should keep going with these questions. The next person is Garrett Ammerman.
I think I addressed Garrett's question in the
Yeah, Sam, I want to also ask if you guys could read the questions out loud though before answering them, because I feel like they might be just kind of like breezed over a little bit, and I think the actual the details of the question might be really good. I would actually like to know what Ben was asking a few minutes ago. But just wanted to really quickly
So
read.
Garrett, before you go on,
Yeah.
may I say something?
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
not really. I don't want to read the question. I much rather you guys spoke, so I get to know you. So
No,
if
that's
you-
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. If everybody can be unmuted and just ask the question, I think that's even better, honestly.
If you raise your hand, I will unmute you.
Thank you, Linda. So, Sam, I think I really appreciate the presentation by the architects and you as well. And being a design professional myself, I do have some concerns about I've designed Hillside as well, the logistics of everything involved here. I'm not opposed to houses being built and designed on the hillside. I think that's fine, and I know it's private property and that's going to be worked on. But I just want to make sure that the developer understands everything involved here from an early stage, because I live at the very bottom, like where Latona and Avenue 43 meet, and every single time it rains, it floods my garage nearly. So there's already drainage issues coming down the hill. More concrete, more runoff will be there. I know you guys are going to have civil engineers and soils and all kinds of like consultants and things like that worked out. But I want to make sure that the developer understands on-site retention, all of these things that really need to be thought about as that water comes further down and as the development takes place. So that's all I wanted to say.
So that's a great point, and again, I work exclusively on hillsides.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I see more and more, and I have to do more and more, is we're going to try to keep the water on site as much as we can. So if anything, is going to be
Sure.
less water coming down, because water is expensive. If we can keep the water and use it for at least the gardening on the outside, we'll do that. We're going with the lead on most of these. So you're AIA.
Mhm.
So, I think that this is going to work to the benefit, or we can design it to work to the benefit on most all the projects that are beyond a certain point. Now I'm forced to put in clarifiers, and I've become an advocate of them. They do all sorts of great stuff. They put collectors, they put koi fish in them to clean them, and then they use them. Anything short of potable water. So that's the way I think we're headed.
If there's a environmental impact report that's being developed or would be developed in the near future, is there kind of any timelines on these larger scopes of work that need to be worked on with either BOE, with the street, or with environmental impact reports? Are there any kind of, how many years are we looking at right now on this project?
How many years of what am I looking at to develop the project?
Yeah, sure. I mean, all these things take obviously a lot of time. There's going to be impact reports that are developed. When would we have access to do those?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're looking at least 2 years, year and a half, 2 years to get all our ducks in a row and become more and more involved with the community and develop our plans to a point where we can get all the agencies, and we have the list of agencies, to get them involved and give them what they require. So we won't be just going there blabbering. We'll give them exactly what they need and hear back from them and make the corrections and move forward. By the way, someone's asking for stop screen sharing. I don't know what that reason is, but could you please manage it on your level, whatever you guys.
I don't know
Yeah.
what that is myself, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
Linda, do we have other hands up?
I think there was a question about a protected tree, 100-year-old tree.
What?
Do you want to address that? Ben Gordon asks, there is a 100-year-old tree at the turnaround of Lot R. Have you identified this as one of these trees will remain? You're probably too soon to do that, but there is a question.
But I can answer you on principally. I was involved with some public works and school developments, and there had trees that were in. Nowadays, because of safety, they're putting path of travel that's a one-way path to some of the public projects, and sometimes it's not, the trees are not considered. I consider them, And I work very hard to preserve the trees. We can make that part of the project's charm, and took 100 years for this thing to grow. I've never seen it be in the way in any way, but if there's a way to save it, and I'm almost 100% there is, we'll save it.
Yeah, thank you for that. And then and then the other point I was making was more, the design looks cool and it's great that you're building more than just say 11 units on 11 lots, but a site like this, there are very few open spaces, and like you said, the zoning issue is a longer term project, but once houses are built on something like this that are brand new on a hillside this steep, it becomes much harder to change it. So what I was saying was, if we want 33 units, a much quicker, technically quicker way is to change zoning. There's plenty of already existing construction out there, my house included, that could easily be more than whatever the units are. But a site like this, not only is Latona Road incredibly narrow, and this would require a huge amount of upheaval to build a road from the bottom. Montecito Drive was repaved, I guess, 20-something years ago. It's very wide. To me, a site like this should really be maintained and kept and preserved by the city to allow for future development to be somewhere between 50 and 300 units with an entrance on Montecito Drive and a park at the bottom. And I know a lot of us, including Ray, much longer than anyone else on this call that I know, have been working on this site and others for decades and have made absolutely no progress to keep it in its current state and save it for something bigger, or just save it as open space, period. But good effort to add more units than just 11. I like that, but at the same time, I would say I'm still in concept against being on it now, because I know the site, I live downhill from it, and when I've been in housing for 15 years, it makes much more sense if you strip away all of the human institutions of things like zoning to build an apartment with an entrance up top.
Well, I tell you, you become my favorite person, Ben, but it's not on the table now. I love the concept. We really would like to have the approach from the much more improved Montecito. But we don't own those lots on Montecito, fronting on Montecito. I'm in contact with people who do. They don't want to sell it, and that puts an end to the whole thing. Otherwise, I think an approach, a very wide approach from top down, would mitigate a lot of the problems. We're not even in a position to consider it. So.
Oh, I get that as private interest. That's why I'm pushing this as a meeting of our government representatives, and as close as we can get to actually having an impact. I'm saying the government should stop something like this in the general public interest, because it makes much more sense to do something from the top. And a site like this could either, some people want it to just be a park. I'm for housing, but it should have much more units with an entrance up top where it makes a whole lot more sense. And until that's the case, the private interest should not prevail. It should be the public interest, and the government should stop something like this.
Well,
So in the interest of keeping the project, the meeting moving forward, Linda, are there other public speakers who've got
one
their
more question I see I can address, but if there's someone who wants to speak, I see Julie's.
I'm just kind of trying to avoid the back and forth too many times in a row of the same party, so that more people get to be involved. Linda?
Sorry, I'm muted. I'm sorry, I was talking and I'm muted. There are no other hands raised at this time, and we are running out of time. I know that people were very patient and there was some misunderstandings in the beginning, but if you have questions, we'd appreciate if you could ask them now. So we could, because we do need to, this is the best, we do need to end shortly. It is almost 9 o'clock.
Julie asked one question I can answer very quickly. The protected walnuts, we're aware of them. I'm aware of it. And to a great degree, they won't be touched, but if they are, I think it's 5-1, not 4-1, maybe 4-1, 5-1, they need to be planted. So we have that as part of the requirements. Thank you.
Great. And were there any committee members who wanted to speak on the project or had questions or requests maybe of the applicant to come back with maybe specific design or information for the next?
Well,
It's a very interesting project, and we thank you for bringing it to the community early on. Definitely want to hear more about it. And the access is definitely a concern.
and maybe a schedule. I don't think this is a monthly thing, but perhaps every couple of months or every 3 months. I don't know what time is needed to have it reoccurring to get more community impact or comments rather. You can all tell me here what we should do, but I'm not sure monthly is going to serve a purpose.
Did someone propose that, Linda? Sorry.
No, I did. I said
Oh.
because we're talking about well, Lynette said about coming back, but how often would they come back?
So I think Sam, maybe you can tell us what is the plan
So first thing,
that the applicant has?
sure, I'm gonna try to answer that question to the best of the project and the progress. And that is, first thing I think we're gonna go ask for a motion to be introduced to make sure that Lot G can be developed as a part of this project. And that should be our first step. So I'd like to report to you on that on maybe the next meeting, whenever the city council responds to us. I can email Linda, Lynette, and let you guys know how we're progressing. And then come back and have a conversation regarding the progress of that. What we need is the motion to start the ball rolling on the access, which is, you're right, is the main thing that we need to be addressing. Does that answer your question, Pilar?
Sam, will you notify us about when you're gonna submit for Lot G?
Say it again.
Will you notify the community about when you're gonna submit to planning about the development of Lot G?
What I'm going to submit? What?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking for? Lot
You're
G?
gonna ask the city to allow you to develop Lot G.
We're gonna
Will you-
ask a motion to be introduced so we can, they can keep Lot G. We just want to improve it for
Right.
access and
Exactly, but
widen it.
when you submit that motion, can you let us know?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'd like to be at the hearing.
I don't think it'll be a hearing. I think it'll be just an application.
Okay.
I can let the homeowner association know. You know, Roy, I don't know if we've met or not. I've been to the site. I've met quite a few people, but normally I have a relation with the neighbors. I can just let them know if they want to know something specifically. Or we can keep it through this, however you want. You have my phone number.
Yeah, Sam, I think we've met before.
There we go.
I think for the community, it would be best if we could keep it going through the committee.
Absolutely. Be happy to report to the committee.
Transparency.
Well, yes, and as a public setting, and so that there's a place that you come back to that's documenting the engagement with the community, that'd probably be helpful.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
It'd be good to have you return so that there's a documentation of that engagement with the community and that it's transparent, you know, and people are notified of the meetings and that kind of thing.
No, absolutely, because
Yeah.
they asked me if I can notify him. I will notify the committee.
Right.
There
Okay.
is a question from Julie Crockett, and it's to do with this Latona Avenue being a cul-de-sac. If you read the questions there, everyone could read it.
Okay, so there is a dead end cut, cul-de-sac is already deeply affected by parking and traffic access, and does Chris, this here. It doesn't have a reason for future residential with much more information in the plan. Accident parking with building and
Certainly is an important access question.
absolutely, absolutely. Yes. Sure, Julie, I'll put that on the list of things to look into and we can improve for the community. And it's in line with the project. We'll address it.
There are no more hands up.
No more hands up? Okay.
No.
Well, if there's no further comment on this item, thank you, Sam, and thank you to the architects for presenting. And I will go on to the next item, which is ongoing business, I believe. Is that still on our?
Derek, before we go, is it safe for us to drop? Are we done?
Yes.
Yeah, you
Thank
can
you for
leave.
presenting.
Okay, thank you. Nice meeting everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
So ongoing business, we have review of PLUC's review process,